Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Siphon TCG here, and coming to you with episode 1 of Table 1 with insert guest name here. Today, I have a very special guest for you. I'm going to have the one and only man himself, Siphon, the People's Bolton, the People's Irish Shermai, the People's Control Dad, the People's Everything. This is just might be the GOAT. He literally just could be the GOAT. We don't know. But this is gonna be an interview series I have where I just kind of get to know five personalities. You guys get to know five personalities, and we get to have a little fun back and forth, and we get to ask some hard hitting questions, but also my harder questions. And I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this. So why don't we just get started and bring Siphon in? So we'll go ahead and add Siphon to the room, and we'll get everything started. All right, so Siphon, first question off rip. So you're currently in Flesh and Blood, right? Just like all of us. But you have a history in other trading card games. A bunch of them have been very storied history. So why did you choose Flesh and Blood over the other games? Why are you playing this game over something else? Okay, so you're starting off with some of the hard ones kind of early. So I would say what really appealed to me in Flesh and Blood. Let me actually start where my foundation was in Flesh and Blood, like why I actually started playing. I think that would give context to things I'll say later, maybe in this video or this question. So I was playing Magic: The Gathering at the time, mostly modern, competitive modern, traveling for events, and I believe it was around Tales of Aria maybe that was coming out. I remember going on the website. It was like this really like maybe pinkish aesthetic and thing. I was like, oh, what a cute little game. It's called Flesh and Blood. Ah, that's a little cute. And I remember they got like the Professor, LSV, Olivia Gilbert Hicks. Like they got big Magic the Gathering personalities to come to this calling. And I remember you guys have seen in multiple my videos, Michael Hoskins. I remember we would like roast the living crap out of Flesh and Blood, like, oh, look at it, look. So they need to have all these cool Magic personalities just to sell their game. Like, shouldn't their game just be good? Maybe that could be the selling point of their game. Mind you, how wrong we end up being. But we thought like it was just a joke, and then I don't even know what it was. It was, oh, I remember. So we were getting back from a modern event. We both did absolutely horrible. We both did absolutely horrible. We stopped to get a bite to eat at Applebee's, and we were both looking at. We were on Facebook, and someone posted about Flesh and Blood. Mind you, the only thing I really knew about Flesh and Blood was obviously like them taking Magic personalities, and my local group who I used to play Argent Saga with ended up transferring to Flesh and Blood after I just went to. I think I went to Yu-Gi-Oh. I think I started replaying Yu-Gi-Oh again, or I started playing Commander. I don't remember which one, but we were like, oh, okay, let's actually look into this. Let's actually see what all the fuss is about. And the thing that actually attracted us immediately was the prize support. We were like, oh, you just go to an event, you get all these booster boxes, all this free money. It literally looked like if you got good enough at the game, the prizing pretty much felt free. Even if you didn't win, it felt like even if you did decent, like you got like a good return on your investment, which is unlike Magic where you kind of need to be in the top 1 to 2% to really have a good return on investment. And even then, sometimes it's not even a good return on investment. And I think that is an issue that obviously is getting fixed over time. I do think that the prize support and the event structure is getting better because at the time, this was like before the announcement of the Pro Tour coming back. We were just literally, it was pretty much a community based thing. Like Apex Gaming, locally in Ohio, was running a big 1K invitational series similar to like the SCG Tour, but it was one a very obviously smaller scale. And we were just looking at Flesh and Blood's like prize. It was like, okay, it's a low buy-in because the game is still relatively new. If we just get decent and we can start stomping in competitions, we can start raking in the money and the prizing. So we immediately got into the game for a greedy reason. Obviously, things have changed since then, but our foundation was being very greedy. So we both kind of independently. So we wanted to start together, but we actually independently started. So here's how it went. We're obviously in. I'm in the old Argent Saga chat now, the Flesh and Blood chat, and I ask a bunch of questions like, "What's a good deck to start with?" All the typical questions. I got led down a rabbit hole. But my first actual game of Flesh and Blood, from my perspective, was I bought a precon. So I sat down with a buddy of mine. They're actually playing Odin versus Bravo, and they've been on these decks since. I started playing. It's actually almost been a year at this point. I want to say like May or June. I know my first ProQuest was about not about 2 weeks, maybe. No, that is. It was about 2 to 3 weeks after I started playing. I went to my first ProQuest. The turnaround was actually pretty good because I got my cards very, very quickly. No, I lied. Sorry, it was about a month because I remember I decided to do the buy-in of the pre-con, but then later that week I got on a website called FabStarterDecks.com. It's actually still around, funny enough, and it's a good resource for people that are new to pretty much get the Blitz decks and then upgrade packs, or you can get like a common uncommon of a whole entire set, right? And I really thought like Tales of Aria, like all those heroes look cool, so I ended up getting those. But like my first actual buy was the Chain Precon. So the precons are available at the time was all the Monarch ones except Prism. And I asked the shop, okay, which deck translates into the most powerful deck later on? They said technically Chain, but they said most of the cards in the precon are in the actual CC deck. And it ended up being more like Dredge, which I'm not a Dredge player. Never have been, never will be, except like when it's absolutely broken, which Chain ended up being broken. Honestly, I didn't know. But I bought the Chain Precon, got absolutely dookie stomped by a full power Odin deck, converted down to Blitz, and it was kind of miserable to start off. And then for the longest time, my buddy who actually started off on full power Prism against my upgraded Blitz precon. Mind you, still using the majority of the cards in Blitz at the precon. And that was my experience for like the first like week. And then obviously I got my decks. And so I had Odin, primarily Earth, because I put a bunch of Earth cards in there. Briar, Earth Briar, because I didn't know again how things work. This is also a poster of Briar. Lexi, who was using more of a lightning package because I watched a video of a guy that won a ProQuest, and he was saying lightning was the best way to play it. I mean, that was extremely wrong, but I guess at the time, because Prism was in the format, maybe it was correct in Starbow, maybe, but... And then I had Viscerai, but it was kind of horrible. And then my first actual deck was Katsu. I know, like, I'm kind of not answering the... I know I'm, like, skirting around, like, not skirting around the question, but, like, I know I'm over-answering the question, but... Again, I just want everything to be in context of things I say later. But, yeah. I guess I'll say once I got hooked. And why I said I am firmly planting my flag in the ground of Flesh and Blood was my first ever ProQuest event was at Pack Fresh, out to Pack Fresh in Cincinnati, Ohio. I went, I think, 2-4, or 2-3 rather, in the ProQuest. And one of my losses was to Chain, which I got down to 1 health, and looking back at it, I probably could have easily gotten that 1 health. I think I still play horrible. And I got top 8'd, which puts into context maybe how good I was at Katsu at the time. And then I got High Road to Living Hell, and like everyone's gonna say, "Well, how do you get High Road by Starbow?" This thing, I'm like, no, it was Fuse Crippling Crush, Fuse Oakenode, Fuse Oakenode, Fuse Crippling Crush, and then Fuse Spinal Crush, and then I just got hammered the rest of the game, like maybe 2 turns, and I was dead. I think the only time I did damage is when he went like, oh, okay, no blocks. I got 1 Master, and I was on the last turn of the game, because I went Kadachi, Kadachi, Head Jab, got Trigger Mask, and then I went Whelming Gust Wave, Break Reese Biter Boots, McGinty Release, your turn. And he was like, oh, I was thinking you were going to kill me. And I was just like, yeah, I thought that too. But I ended up just getting my thing clapped. But like, it was really cool to get like 2 wins at my first ever event. And I knew I kind of wanted to play Briar. And I kind of wanted to play Lexi. So I got to try out full power Briar for the first time. The store owner actually let me borrow his for some test games. And I was just like, this is insane. Like, I absolutely dookie stomped a Bravo player and a Rhinar player just in testing. I was just like, okay, no, this deck is cool. I need to play this. I need to do this thing. And from there, I got hooked. And obviously, I went to competitions, and the community was absolutely amazing. I think that was probably one of the big things as well. But I think the thing that you're hearing me talk about at the end is the fact that there's actually events. And this is not just, oh, this local shop is at the Comic Star doing events. It's like, no, these are sponsored by us. That's like, the company that made them is like endorsing these and saying, hey, come get some money, come and get some competition. Like, let's do this thing together. And that's all I wanted. I wanted to play a game that I knew I could travel for events and be the best player I can be. And that was what Flesh and Blood was. Okay, sorry for the long answer. It's just, I talk extensively about things I'm passionate about. No, that's good. I like to actually hear about like all your history and just really putting everything into like specific detail. It's really nice to see your journey. By the way, shout out to that Starvo player. He might just be the GOAT. Just, dude, hey man, it's really hard to show 3 elements and say, hey, you don't have a turn every single turn. But all right, next question. So all the games you talked about, the history you have, what would you say maybe you had the most success in, or the one that you maybe enjoyed the most? Um, Let me think. So I technically didn't name it. Actually, no, I did. Argent Saga. Argent Saga. Even though like my YouTube channel hasn't been a big part, I think maybe I have like 3 total videos on it. And it was when the game was in its latter state of popularity. It was close to dying at that point. I think I had the most success there, not consistently over a wide margin of competitive events, but the peak, what I peaked at. I think at any game, I think I had the highest peak in Argent. When and this it still haunts me to this day. I should have 100% won the biggest event they ever had. It was pretty much equivalent to like a regional or a GP or something. It was like their biggest one. So for those, I'm gonna say some stuff you guys don't understand. That's fine. But I played a Jamail Luna deck, which was blue-black, and I think it shared a lot of properties of the blue-black styles and like Magic and other games, right? But like the night before, at like 4 a.m., I switched to Jamail. I was on Jamail Solo, which is a blue-white, and then I switched to Jamail Luna. Ended up losing round 1, then didn't lose again for the whole entire event until I got to my top 4. And for context, what's in top 4? Me, obviously. A guy I befriended during the tournament, really cool guy, playing blue-green. A player that I absolutely dookie stomp Shadow on in Swiss. And a person who was playing the deck that my deck is good against. No, sorry, yeah. So, person already smashed in Swiss. A deck that my deck fundamentally just beats, like 9 times out of 10. And then a guy who's playing a very similar deck to me, but I do think that blue-black had the edge on blue-green, unless blue-green seen it's one really big powerful card, which it ended up seeing. But my deck actually had an out. So I typed in a card called Delayed Poison. What Delayed Poison? It's a spell augment that when it enters, you got to equip it to a thing and it died. Right? The issue is the big powerful card in that deck was a thing called Conist. It was a massive creature, but its thing is it couldn't be targeted by spells. That was its big thing, so you couldn't like target and like try to blow it up. You had to either have like a board wipe, which the board wipe in my deck didn't kill it because it had 5,000 life, and my board wipe could only do 4K. So the only way I could kill it is this card called Delayed Poison. But when I went to play it and try to kill this thing, he said that doesn't kill it. It can't be targeted by spells. And I was like, no, it's an augment. It's a spell. And when it's in the battlefield, its abilities to equip to something. It doesn't get affected by Conus. And he said, no, it does. And I was just like, so we called a judge over. A judge ruled that it doesn't work. And then I appealed it to the head judge, who said it didn't work. I ended up losing because of other play patterns. Like I could have worked around that card, but like I had the card that killed it cleanly, and there was no other ways that I could lose, right? Then after the tournament, judge comes up to me and says, "You were actually right. It's a spell when it enters its abilities to equip, which gets around the card." And I wasn't going to visibly show my frustration, but I was just like, okay, yeah, thanks for getting that ruling cleared up. I fist bumped the dude, like obviously after the actual match. He ended up going against the person I absolutely clapped in Swiss, and the person I clapped in Swiss won the event, and that's what a lot of people remember that tournament for, was the person that won, not the person that pretty much got screwed out of winning. But I would say that's probably my biggest success. And I do want to put a note, like, I don't hold any remorse against that judge. Judging is hard. Like, I judge in Flesh and Blood. It's not easy. Even in what stuff I feel like I know, it's just not easy. Don't ever try to, like, flame a judge or anything. I've done it in the past, and it's come back to bite me because, again, since now I'm a judge, like, I get it. I get it. But, obviously, like I said, I was pretty good in Pokemon, but I was choked at large events. Yu-Gi-Oh! I only really played locally. Magic, I had success in one event, but like I said, Origin Saga, easily, by and away, my most success. Hey man, you need me to find that judge. We're gonna find that judge, but all right, but but circle back to Flesh and Blood. So you're known for actually playing a lot of off-meta decks, whether it be on your stream or at major events and whatnot. So can you talk more about your ability to play off meta? Yes and no. I would say that during my peak in games, I am a meta sheep. But when I really break it down, when I've actually had success, besides obviously like my peak moments, but I've been able to have a baseline success actually when I diverge from the meta. I think whenever I've been a meta sheep, but not been like in peak form, like playing the cleanest possible, I've actually done pretty average to below average. But when I've actually decided to like, all right, what within my playstyle can actually work against what's currently good? That's when I started to go up. For Magic, we'll start with Magic for example. Obviously, I had the most success with Amulet Titan, but that was when I was peak, and I was just like good. I was really fucking good at the game. But then when I played when I played Blue Red Murktide, dude, I did so fucking horrible. It's not even. I think I maybe had one top 16 with that, and the rest of them was just like passing. Neoform I did pretty good, but I think the best off meta deck I ever played was Blue Moon. What Blue Moon won? It was a control deck that aimed to pretty much nullify an opponent's mana source and slowly just grind out the game. And it worked because at the time, most mana bases in Magic the Gathering were very greedy. They were playing all the fetches, shocks. Like, they weren't playing a lot of basic lands. And if they were playing like 1 or 2. So Blue Moon says, alright, I'm going to resolve this Blood Moon. I play all these basic islands, so I really don't care. You don't play a lot of basics. And if you do happen to play a basic that's not blue or red, well, mostly blue, obviously, I have this thing called Spreading Seas. So, you're you're like a blue-red deck, sorry, like a blue-black deck, right? And you don't really run basic set, maybe like 1 swamp and 1 forest. Alright, well, that forest right there is now an island. Oh, you end up getting your black source? Cool. It's an island. Now you only tap for blue and red in your black-green deck. Have fun. And that's what the deck did. It kind of felt Ponta-esque, but instead of like destroying the lands, it was just like, I mean, you have them. I don't think you're gonna get to use them, but you have them. And it was very, very cool. Obviously, when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, my big success was actually with Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine was just a degenerate card that's now, as of time recording this video, been banned, sadly. And I think my next high success was Sky Strikers, but this was pure Sky Strikers when they had a bunch of stuff banned. And I mean, I think my success was accidental there, but I wasn't even called success because it wasn't really like on a large scale. Pokemon, I think my biggest success was Keldeo GX. I was one of the people that put that deck on the map. And it was just trying to say F your GX Pokemon. Even though it's a GX Pokemon, it was just trying to stop the opponents, and then I had a bunch of stuff to punish you for playing GXs, which were the correct thing to play. Because all the non-GX decks, either I naturally had a good matchup in anyway because of stuff like Zapdos. I had a good matchup against Zapdos because I had Rough Seas and I could heal stuff, and then it was a Pokemon that had the Rough Seas ability. And I just had all these control cards that like, okay, if you're GX deck, you can't hit me. But if you're not GX deck, you'll never be able to kill me because you can't one-shot me. I'm just going to heal. And then, obviously, the weakness that deck would have was Grass. But, like, the only good Grass deck was Rowlegs, which was a GX deck. So, like, I think a lot of this off-meta stuff I've had just obvious. But, like, obviously, when it comes to Flesh and Blood, I'm known as the Control Dash guy. Even though I didn't start the line of Control Dash, I'm the one that's been, like, carrying the torch. Bolton. Obviously, I'm not, like, the most well-known Bolton, but I was called the People's Bolton for a while before I didn't drop the deck. The deck's flying up right there next to me. Like, I'm actually looking at the deck. But I don't play the deck that much anymore. I think I've played it at locals once in the last like 4 months, and I haven't played it at an actual event since U.S. Nationals, which I went 2-7 with, which is kind of impossible because who plays 9 rounds and is not going to day 2 or something? Like, I probably should have stopped when I was like 2-3, 2-4. But like, no, I kept going. I was like, I'm gonna get those wins eventually. I didn't. And then obviously Kano. Kano is not off meta as he once was. He is now more just a deck that has people that specialize in Wizard. But like, I would still say it's more non-meta than meta. It is weird because if you ask me if I'm a meta sheep, I would probably say yes. But then you ask me what meta decks I play, and I'm like, hold on, you're kind of spitting right now. What meta decks do I play? But I think it was probably in the past I was a meta sheep primarily, but then I would switch to something else and have success. But I see what the question is, and I hope I did answer it. It's a weird question to answer without all the context, if that makes sense. Alright, Siphon, so your YouTube's actually really starting to grow right now. I don't know what subscribers are at this current moment, but to see your organic rise is just absolutely amazing. Some of the guides you're putting out is really fire. People love the vlogs. Like what are you feeling right now? Like, how excited does all this make you? Oh, I wouldn't really say it's big. Like, okay, so I do feel good that my rise in YouTube has been entirely just passion based. So this is not the context I'm gonna say I haven't given a lot of people, but if you actually go on my old YouTube channel, which the big mistake is not just making this channel the old YouTube channel, but for this exact reason that I've had the organic rise, why I didn't use that YouTube channel, but I still think it was correct to use that YouTube channel, was I have videos in there that have 50,000 views, 40,000 views, right? And it has like 300 subscribers. It still accidentally has gained subscribers like once every like 2 months, right? But how I got those views? My most viewed video is like one of those meme videos. It's literally how to click the left mouse button on a laptop. Like it's like a few minutes, and I'm assuming it's just some people's recommended for whatever reason. I don't know why so many people have watched that video. There's actually a lot of comments on it too. It doesn't actually make sense. I hate YouTube so much for something like that because it just doesn't make sense. And then a couple of my videos, I have one video where at the time, I think his name was Joey Salads. I think was a social experiment YouTuber. He got a lot of flack for a video, and people at the time were very keen of, oh, this video got a lot of flack, delete it, private it. I downloaded it, uploaded it to my channel, even labeled it as a reload, so people so it couldn't escape the internet. That's also my fourth biggest video. Is that same kind of thing with a YouTuber called Vegan Gains. It's just they put out a video that they later deleted, but it's obviously archived on the internet because I have it on my channel. And then if you go after that, it's just like giveaways and all that stuff. It's when you look at okay, Siphon, what is the content that you have organically made that's had success? It's not much. Like most of those videos are like maybe 300, 200. And it was when Smite was a big game and I played Smite. That's kind of it. But when it comes to this channel, obviously I don't have a lot of views on all my videos. Most of my videos hover around like the 40 to 90 mark. Some do crack 100, and most of the ones that crack 100 usually are vlogs going to events or anything that involves Control Dash. And obviously my claim to fame, my highest viewed video is a Control Dash comprehensive guide with 1.4k views. And if you really look in the context of everything, I know I say the word context of everything, but I do think context is key. That's all my channel really has to show. Is like this one really banger video. And I do think the reason why the video got so many views and stuff, because I advertise most of my videos. Not all videos, but most. I think that is the single biggest passion project I ever had. Because to this day, Control Dash is like my baby. If someone says, if you could play one deck one time, I would play Control Dash. I just enjoy the deck, even though it's not control in the traditional sense. In the context of Flesh and Blood, it's the best thing we have to a control deck that has it's more like combo control. Which again, I am a combo player. I am a control player. It's kind of like combo control, because you have this really defensive game at the start, then you're like, but anyway, here's 15. Alright, next turn. Alright, that's cool. 15. And I make the joke that Dash is a turn three kill deck or like a 2-turn deck, and people are like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "All right, I'm probably gonna hit you very little for most of the game, but how many times can you take 15?" And they're like, "Oh, like 3 times." And and that's why we're a turn 3 kill deck, because the game doesn't really start until you get all those items, at least in my opinion. But I'm really happy that I'm at the place where I'm at. Obviously, I want to keep growing. But when I look back at when I played Pokemon, and Magic, and I was like, okay, I have a few videos. I think my biggest Magic video was whenever I played Blue White Control in Pioneer, and it was when Pioneer was first starting to get its second resurgence. And I made some edits to the Blue White Control deck that I thought were good and made it more competitive in the Pioneer circuit, and people just loved it, and it got 500 views. And when it comes to Pokemon, it was really some of the earlier when the channel first started. It was like a Mucklola Muck, a Baby Bucephalon, Honchkrow. Honchkrow was I think my first ever video actually, and a lot of people just loved it. And I'm not much of a brewer myself, so actually seeing people love the brewing videos, pretty freaking cool, right? But like I said, every single video that I have is just pure passion. A lot of people do get into the YouTube game for money, which most people are going to say that's the wrong reason. And I'm like, oh, I don't think that's the wrong reason. I think that's a fine reason. It's just, if you're in it purely for money and you do things purely for money, cool. I think it's when people misconstrued why they're on YouTube. And people are like, I'm here purely out of passion, but they're doing tactics that are like purely money based, right? Or like they're a person that holds like giveaways, but all the giveaways just say, you have to be subscribed and like these 3 videos. I'm like, okay, sure, like get the bag, but don't say it's all out of love for everyone. Like, I haven't done a giveaway on my channel, but like, let's say I was to do a giveaway, but I did want it to be somewhat lucrative for me in some kind of way. What I would probably do would be like, okay, here's the giveaway, here's the item. All you have to do is like maybe comment on the video or like the video or some way I can track who is doing what. But I would be like, okay, if you comment on this video, you get an entry. But if you're subscribed and you comment, like the subscription is like a double entry or like an additional entry. Like, you don't have to like feed my numbers like hard, but you do get a benefit if you help me. Like I said, the comments themselves are going to do fine, but it's also a way I can make the giveaway like fair, and it's just not like, oh, this random person won. Like I was like, how'd they win? But like when you have someone comment, you're like, all right, this person won. All right, you can see their comment, you know for a fact that they participated, and it's like legit, right? But like I said, the way I would do it is you would comment. That's one entry. If you subscribe, that count as another entry. Or if you also follow my Twitter, that's another entry. And you can have a max of like 5 entries because maybe I'll have 5 different things or 3 different things. I don't 100% know. But that says, okay, I'm not doing this purely for greedy reasons. Now, obviously, let's say you're giving away a tunic, right? A pristine tunic, and all you're asking for someone is subscribe. Okay, they just click a red button, and now they could have a tunic. That could be up almost $300 for best pressing red button. It's like, is that really bad? And I say no, that is not bad. Like I said, it's just when people misconstrued what their purpose is. If you're here to get the bag, dude, get the bag. More power to you. I'll help you. I'll lean that way, man. You want people to like and subscribe to the video? Boom, I'm in there, dude. Get the bag. It's just, I don't like lying. I don't like the lying and like I said, the misleading. That's all. But like I said, I'm great about where I'm at. I wish I grinded more than I did. What I'm finding out is when you're making focused content, it's very hard because I mostly make competitive focused videos, and that's hard. Like I said, I'm trying to slowly branch that out and make more down to earth and more like casual, not like maybe casual level, but like every single video doesn't have to be like an hour gameplay breakdown or like a 4 or 5 minute deck guide. Every video doesn't have to be that, because then I limit myself to what I can do. And I think the thing that carries me, or anything else, is just my personality. Alright? I think it's definitely my personality. Like, yeah, I think I'm a smart person. I think I give valuable opinions. I think I could teach people. But, like, there's 1,000 channels that do that. But there's only one me. And I think that one me is super special and can really do stuff. What do you actually think sets you apart from other Flesh and Blood players, whether it be in-game or out-of-game? I think that's actually very easy to answer, but obviously I'm gonna do what I do and take a set answer for 17 minutes. But I think what sets me apart from the average player is my research and knowledge. Like I said, if you were to ask me right now, I was like, all right, Siphon, 80 card Odom list, name 70 of them. And I could name, and I'm just talking about the average, like not like someone doing like a cute tech card. I could name 70 just like that. Now I would say the game is a little bit easier because there's obviously multicolored cards. So like hypothetically, like Glacial Footsteps, there's gonna be 6 copies. I could name if they choose to run like obviously the red and blue. Like that's Summoning. It's not like in Magic. There's 4 copies of stuff, so technically there's even less there. But I remember probably like one of my funniest moments in history. It does not actually go to Flesh and Blood, but it goes to Magic the Gathering. I was playtesting with my buddy Michael, and he was playing this deck called Electro Dominance. And this is off meta. I'm talking about this is off. Like this is the same level of off meta like Brainstorm Kano is now. You have heard of it. You've probably even seen one person playing it, but you're like, no one actually plays that deck, right? It's funny. We were playtesting. It was his first time playing the deck. Like playtesting us, right? And it's like turn 3, and he's just in the tank. He's just literally just like this. And I'm like, all right, so literally you just do. I forget the exact words, but like I just said, you play that card, you pay this much mana, and then you hope I don't have a counter spell. And you're like, he just likes looking at me. I'm like, just play the card. But like at the time I was naming the card. Obviously it's been like 3 years since then, or maybe 2 years. And he's like, okay. I was like, all right. And then you after this, if it doesn't counter, you play this. He's like, wait. He's like, do you know what's in my hand? I was like, I mean, not really, but probably. I could. He was like, okay, what else is in my hand? And I like name all the cards in his hand. And he was like, huh? And then this is like towards like the end of the game. I said, can I look at your graveyard? And I look at his graveyard, and I'm like, okay, so you're hoping to top deck. I forget the actual card it was, but you're probably gonna top deck this. You haven't. I was like, yeah, it's gonna suck for me, but you're probably just gonna top deck it. He was like, probably not. And then he top decks it. Now, mind you, have like 10 cards left, so like, yeah, it's just like, what I'm getting at is even such an off-meta deck. It's technically a deck I never actually play. I never actually sat down and played it. Not even on a Moto. But what I did is almost every single plausible deck in the format I've done some research in. I know how almost every single deck, like at the time in Modern, ticked. Even like the really, really, really off-meta decks. I know how they ticked. And I think that's what sets me apart from the average player. If I was to sit down right now, face a different deck every single round, I wouldn't have to read cards. I'm like, okay, what does this card do? What does this effect do? I would know every single card did. I would know how to play against every single deck as every other single deck. Now, would I have personal reps? No. Like, I have a lot of reps with Lexi, but do I have a lot of reps with Lexi versus Azalea? No. And I'm telling this is Ode. So, like, would I know everything that the Azalea was doing? Would I know what made the deck tick? But, like, would I know exactly, like, at the highest level what to do? Probably not. But at a very baseline level, I could do it. And you'd be like, well, Siphon, of course, I know how to play this. I know all the cards in my deck. I was like, okay. You could probably name 90% of the cards in like 2 decks. But like, there's now like 16 heroes in Classic Constructed. I could name the majority of cards, if not all the cards, in like the latest winning list. Probably without even looking at it. I can name like 70 to 75 of the cards easily. And you might say, okay, what does this translate? Like, does this translate to any winning? And I would say, in some places yes, some places no. Just knowing, like, oh, cool, so you know 80%, you know all the cards in my deck. You could probably even deduce what's in my hand. Like, okay, what does that really matter? And I would say it wouldn't matter I think it matters on a micro level rather than a macro level. Because at the micro level, you can be like, okay, when they do this, they're most likely going to do this, and if they do that, they're most likely to do this, and you can then plan your turns accordingly when you can pretty much predict the future. But on a macro level, it's like it kind of just doesn't matter. You have to be able to stop what they're doing and accurately stop what they're doing. You know, I can know a Fi's play sequence like the back of my hand. I can know a Kano's play sequence like the back of my hand. But does that mean I truthfully know how to stop it, or I have the tools to be able to stop it? Or in my case, oh, I know exactly how to stop it. Anyway, why don't we just do something else? And that's probably been my biggest problem, is just being able to play cleanly and actually like play what I like, how I know. But I assume you're gonna bring up some stuff about that later, and I'm gonna be really sad about it. I can already feel the question coming, but yeah, I think that's just what sets me apart, is just like my knowledge of every single TCG I play. And I think where I would probably shine the most is not even as a player or as a coach, but like a commentator, right? And this is actually a phrase that multiple people, multiple games have said to me. They said, "Isaac, you shouldn't play, you should commentate." And like I've heard that almost exact statement, like more than you can believe. I've yet to hear it in Flesh and Blood, thank God, and I kind of don't want to hear it, even though I kind of want to venture into casting at some point. I really don't want to hear like you should cast instead of play. And it's mostly for two reasons. One, they know how much like I punt and stuff, but they say like they know how knowledgeable I am about everything, and how I think my only weakness would be is just like conveying that in a very more concise manner. Because you can see with the questions here, I haven't really had a hard question yet, but you've seen me talk for like, I don't know how long this interview's been so far, like maybe 30 to 40 minutes, and you've only asked like 3 questions, maybe 4. That would be my only barrier, is just being clean and concise. Maybe like a solo cast would be good, but like if I was cast with someone else, I was just like, okay, mix of personality. How is that gonna look? Like I think my personality is more is jokey, but like it's also like competitive, and like we need to talk about the game. It's like it'd be hard for me to venture out naturally, get caught up in that conversation, and then reel it back in. I think that would be something hard. So, and maybe it should be something I work on if it's something I want to do. I don't 100% know. Well, that's a little bonus question right there. It's just like I would like to do some casting. You know what I would have loved to see you cast? Your Bolton game in Columbus, and we both knew I was going to bring this up. Siphon, what happened in Columbus? What is the famous Bolton incident for people who don't know? And yes, this is a slight. I'm making you self roast yourself, but I do kind of want to give people the information of the context of this game, because it's kind of wild. Yeah, I knew it. I get asked this all the time, and I hate it. I don't even know how so many people know. Like I'm trying. I understand how you know, but like, dude, so many people know about this, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just so over it at this point, man. Okay, so I will break down what happened for people who don't know. So there was an LCQ during the RTN season as a last chance qualifier to qualify for U.S. Nationals. I took Bolton. There's my first ever tournament with Bolton, and I kind of just was playing it for fun, to be honest. And I, oh my gosh, I was undefeated at the time. I was undefeated. I go to round. There's 6 rounds. I go to round 5. It's either around. It's round 5. No, I'm sorry. It was 5 rounds. This is round 3. No, I was right the first time. Because there was 2 events that weekend. So it's round 4 out of 6. I'm undefeated. 5 out of 6. God dang, I can't fucking talk. The situation just makes me upset. Sorry. Not that I don't mind answering your question. Uh, so it's round 5 out of 6. I'm technically not locked for top 8, even being 4-0. It's just there was a lot of 4-0s, and breakers in this game suck. Especially when people get ties, and like people you face round 1, round 2 drop. Like that is like the worst thing, is like when people you face round 1 round 2 just drop, because it just nukes your opponent's match win percentage and your opponent's win percentage. So it's round 4. I'm facing someone who would end up being a good friend of mine. But at the time, this is my first time really interacting with him. His name's Peyton Laufenberg. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. He's playing Dromai, this is also like her kind of debut of like at a high level. And I am playing Bolton. A matchup I haven't played a ton, but I've kind of figured out. because I can hit the dragons for my own hits and just confirm my soul, or I can choose to pressure her and get cards out of her hand. So I actually find combo very, very early. I find my combo very early, and I was able to keep my life total very, very high. So in the way I had my Bolton combo set up is I have my soul to the right of my headpiece. I have a dice on my hero. And for people know me, how I always leave everything out just to represent, like if I'm playing Kano, for example, I leave every single card down the chain, even if it breaks the chain. I might like move it back to show like it's not currently on the chain, or something like that. But it's just a representation. So like if we need to walk back for some reason, we can do it. But my soul's to the right of my helmet, right at the top, and I play out my combo. I do my full combo. The life totals is 47. I'm at 47. The draw my player's at 11. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, oh, this is just GG's. What's the draw my player going to do? They're 11 and it's 47. That's such a big life gap. And that's what the Luma combo, that's what it did. It just said, okay, well, we're really close in life total. Oh my gosh, we're really far in life total. If they're not already dead. And I got greedy. I openly will admit. So, what made me get greedy? Because I kind of wanted to get the game over with. So, at the end of my combo, I picked up a stack of cards, put them in my graveyard, and was like, wait a minute. Judge? And I did the famous thing where, and I keep myself from being a very honest player, I called the judge on myself. Would my opponent ever call the judge on me? Based on like his understanding of the situation, no, because he didn't even know anything went wrong. So like hypothetically, I could have got away with murder there, and just like not had a penalty, not had like the 15-minute plus ruling. I probably could have kept it pushing, or I could have been like, hey man, like these were the cards in my graveyard, like in my soul, do you mind if I just put them there? Because he ended up saying like I was an honest player, and he didn't even know me. He just seen that like I called the judge on myself and censored myself pretty much. He knew I was like not there to like cheat him, right? Um, so the ruling ended up being like I just put my opponent got to choose what cards went back in my soul, and I was able to accurately say this card started was the top card. This was the last card. Like this is the exact bio, and like I made it very clear how I knew that. My opponent was like, "Yeah, that makes sense. I don't believe he would lie. Yeah, I'm just gonna look to put the cards he says are back in so and so." The issue is, I think I got like an IP penalty, and it was also like 15 to 20 minutes of my time, and I should have still won, but I got so fucking tilted. No, actually no, I didn't even get an IP penalty. I think I was just so tilted at my misplay and how long it took. Actually maybe I got a penalty. I don't 100% remember. I just remember at least it wasn't too harsh. Like it was no game loss. I still had like all the cards I had in my soul because the reason why it mattered is I still had a Beacon of Victory in my deck. That's the only reason it mattered. If I didn't have a Beacon of Victories in my deck, wherever my soul went didn't really matter. But the judge ruled that way. It took about 15 minutes because, again, it's not a common occurrence. And the head judge of that event was busy with another, like, really stupid ruling. So it's like they kind of had to wait, and I was getting upset. I was getting memed on. I obviously wasn't visibly showing this because people know I'm usually pretty tight when it comes to my emotions at tournaments. And I'm sitting there just joking around with him and stuff, but in my mind I was just like, I could have just sincerely punted my chance to qualify for nationals. I might have just did that. Judge comes back, obviously gives a ruling. Game continues. It goes to my opponent's turn. He plays a Vincerakai, and mind you, how I pitch shot with Bolton, I know for a fact, once I reach a certain set of cards, I can return on the gas. And because of how the combo works, you actually reach your second cycle faster in most decks because you're getting rid of a whole bunch of cards, especially if you can triple them. I only double them, but if you can triple them, you can just fly through your deck right there and get your pitch deck very, very fast. And I had a pitch deck that had like Viva Vanguard into Double Bolting Blade into Celestial Cataclysm. It was something like that. And I was like, they're going to just die. If they don't die that turn, they're going to die turns soon after that. But for some reason, he goes Vincerakai, and I'm like, yeah, seems good to me. And he goes, swing with Vincerikai. And I'm like, no blocks. And he's like, reactions? And I'm like, no, I'll take it. And I took all the damage he had that turn. Because mind you, my mind, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm not such a high life total. It doesn't matter. So I took like 20 damage. Goes to my turn. I'm like, alright, here's what I'm going to do. Saber up Vincerikai. And got him. He's like, okay. Next turn, play a Vincerikai. Mind you, this wasn't, I pitched, he wasn't in his second cycle. He just had this stuff. And again, all I had to do was block it, kill it. On my turn, kill it. And then eventually reach my pitch stack. But he goes second Vincerikai, I'm like, okay. He goes swing with Vincerikai, I'm like, no blocks. And then he does the exact same thing again. And then on my turn, I'm like, haha, kill it. And by this time, it was like 17, 18 to like maybe like 8 or 9. I don't know if I dealt that much damage to him since the combo. And now, for my big life total, it was pretty much a fair game at that point. And there's no way I could have won a fair game at that point. And the reason why is even when I would have my pitch stack, he would be presenting so much damage, and I would have to give him cards to where my pitch stack wouldn't matter. Like, I would have to pretty much take almost lethal to present my damage. And if he just chose to, like, block out with everything except maybe one card, or even block out in total and just swing dragon, I was like, well, at the point where I have to give him a card. And it's just like, how long can I sustain this? Because you remove so many cards from the deck, you could actually fatigue yourself. And Dromai was so anti-fatigue. Like, you couldn't fatigue Dromai's Boltyn. I tried. It's just not going to happen. So that's kind of the situation. Yeah, I ended up losing that game. I was like, all I had to do was win another game. I was going against another fan of the channel, my boy Charles on Viserai. He's been a Viserai stan for the longest time. And turn 1, I'm just like, I'm still tilted. I tilted that I lost. And I was like, all I have to do is win this match. He was not qualified, but I could still qualify just because of, I think if I was 5-1, regardless of my breakers, I could still get in, because I think 2 5-1s got in, or not 2 5-1s, 4 5-1s got in. It was like really weird. Like, the top 8 didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. Like, there was a few 5-1s, it was like a 4-2, but then like everyone that did pre-tournament things like, what record can you get in? Everyone was like, a 4-2 can't make it. A 4-2 can't make it. Then like 2 4-2s made it. It was weird. But I thought at 5-1 I should maybe be fine. But turn 1, I draw my combo pieces. I'm like, cool, this sucks. I have to either block with my combo pieces or pitch them on a very lackluster turn. But what made it worse, my opponent goes, Morgetide? No, he goes, Morgetide into. God dang, I'm starting to forget what's the right names. Like, I've actually tilted myself just talking about the story. Sorry, Morgetide, Malvern Skies, Shrill thing. So it's like a lot of damage being presented. But like in my mind, I'm like, I gotta save my combo pieces. So I take a bunch of damage. And on my turn, I take like a really suboptimal line, just so I can get my combo pieces in my deck, and I don't even present that much damage. Then turn 2, he goes like another disgusting turn, and I'm like, okay. I have like an average turn. I go like, I think like Bolt of Courage. He blocks, I give a go again, Engulfing Light, your turn. And then he goes, okay. He plays a bunch of cards, and he arsenals a card. It's like turn 3. On my turn, I have like a very medium turn. I think I take flight into Saber or something. I don't remember if I even do that. I think it might have loaded my Saber now that I'm thinking about it. But on his turn, he goes, God, I don't remember his exact line. I just remember there's a Sonata Arcanix involved. And I'm like, he like shuffles his deck. I'm like, you know what, dude? I got you. I'm going to put it on top of your deck for you. And I shuffle his deck. Mind you, deck face down, I'm looking at him. I have no way of actually putting it up there. Like, I don't know. And he cuts. Wait, no, it wasn't that guy. What is it? Was it a tome? God dang it. He somehow gets it on his turn. I don't remember exactly how. And then he's like, you put it on top of my deck, cause like I see it and I'm just like, I'm just staring at it. He's just sitting there cackling. You put it on top of my deck, and at that point, all my anger goes out the thing, and I do the memeing thing. That's actually where I got the nickname The People's Bone, because Jordan Kennedy was right next to me. He sees all this and is just like cackling about all of it, and he was like, he liked my attitude. Ironically enough, he didn't know how pissed I was like 5 seconds ago. He says my attitude says, "Hey man, you're like the People's Bolton," and the nickname stuck from there. I actually haven't really told that part of the story. People don't know why I was nicknamed The People's Bolton, but yeah, I think I got like turn 4 killed by Viserai, and I think because at the time I don't even think I was running Arcane Barrier into Viserai because I thought I had to race. I could be wrong. I would have to fact check myself on that. But I don't believe at the time I was running Arcane Barrier. So it was kind of just GG's. Even if I was running, like, obviously the AB1, I wasn't running that many blues at that time. Because I think I was pretty much just targeting Fi and just trying to say, Fi, you're going to die. And I was trying to say, alright, bro, you're going to die. Someone's going to die here. We just got to figure out who it is. And at the time, I didn't respect the Ultima matchup enough to, like, add the blues, add, like, the time snaps, etc., etc. Well, I died to Viserai. I ended up 4-2. Was 4-2 in both LCQs, which tilters because I lost I remember with freaking Lexi, dude. I had a Briar at 1 HP, and all I had to do was deal 1 damage, and I qualified for Nats. And I drew like a blue arrow and like 3 non-attacks every freaking turn, and I just couldn't do damage, and it was so tilting. And they had, I think I had like AB, I only had AB1 at the time, so I was eventually deterministically dead from Rosetta Thorn. It was absolutely stupid. But yeah, that's kind of the soul story. Like I said, you're seeing me get memed on a lot for putting my soul in my graveyard a lot, or putting Revel on top. Like those are the two biggest things people use against me all the time. It's just like I laugh it off now, but at the time it was just like so gross. It was absolutely gross. I hate all of it. Actually, so there's actually another Columbus story that like it's not like the most well-known story outside of my group. Well, a story I like to tell people was like, so the reason I stopped playing Iyslander and I stopped playing Lexi is not because I was bored of the decks. So if people know, at the Battle Hardened in Columbus, this is a different Columbus event, hosted by the same people but different event. I played Tall Death Dealer Ice Lexi, and you guys seen the list on the channel a while ago, and I thought that deck was really good until the expected man, which was Fi. There was an after party afterward, and people know I don't really drink beer. Like, I drink wine every now and then, but I don't really drink beer. But I was given a free White Claw, 2 free White Claws, and I drunk one. I was like, this tastes horrible. I left it lit in the parking lot. The other White Claw I put in my bag. For what reason? Couldn't tell you. Could not tell you the reason. I just don't know. I don't know. And, oh god, dude. I put it in my bag. I get home. I think nothing of it. I don't touch my cards for 4 days until the Thursday of the armory. I open my bag and I'm just like, why is my bag so wet? Like, this doesn't make sense. And I see the White Claw. The White Claw is like half full, but there's no like obvious like bust. So I'm like, what the F happened? I'm like, alright, whatever. I open up my bag. There's like water over my just like top loaders and card cases. I'm like, okay. But then I open my Iyslander deck. No, I open up my Lexi deck first, and it is completely soaked, like head to toe water. It had my custom sleeves and most of my Lexi cards in it, completely damaged. I open my Iyslander, completely soaked, gone. My Bolton, which is right next to me, soaked. I did try to salvage some of the Iyslander and the Lexi cards, ones that are like decently presentable. It's very ironic because people said just use a dehumidifier. I was like, I don't have one. Lo and behold, a few months later, when I moved into a new place, that place already had a dehumidifier, and I didn't even think about the time because I still had my Bolton deck folded up because I was like, it's the cards aren't worth much anyway. There's no reason. I would have the dehumidifier on just because I thought I was like, dude, I have a dehumidifier. I'm gonna use it. I just opened my Bolton deck. I was like, huh, my Bolton cards are like pretty good right now. And I told people like, yeah, did you use a dehumidifier? I was like, yeah, accidentally. And it was just like, I could have literally saved my Lexi and my center deck by just using the dehumidifier. There's even like these special like packs, I don't remember what they're called, to get like wrinkles out and like the crinkles that could have also de-liquidized the cards. Didn't use them obviously. And I look back, I was like, I had to get rid of two decks that I really was passionate about, and that was like really expensive. Not the Lexi, but the Ascendant was kind of expensive. I had to get rid of both of them just because I was hard headed and didn't want to get a dehumidifier. And then I'm having one for free, and then now it's kind of too late. I mean, obviously, I'm glad my Bolton deck is there, but like now my Bolton deck's full out, and now it doesn't matter. It is. Yeah, I hate my life. I hate my life. But yeah, that's the Columbus story that people refer to for people who don't know me. So I've seen a lot of people that play you talk about a lot of the banter that you'll do in your matches and stuff. Like you'll make jokes, you'll do a lot of just like talking in circles and stuff. Like people, some people are kind of weirded off by it. Some people are just like, whatever. Is there reasoning behind it, or is it just like natural, like the banter that you're doing? I don't really think there is a method behind it. There's not a, oh, I'm trying to do a certain thing. If people know me, especially when I'm having a good time, I kind of just talk. Like, do I have the ability to just stand there silently and just be like very methodical? Oh, yes, I do. And I think whenever I was playing like Argent Saga and my early days in Magic, I definitely could be because obviously when you're playing a control deck, you need to be more measured in everything that you're doing. But now, like when it least comes to Flesh and Blood, because I primarily am facing a lot of people I know, and because I've become more of a community personality, it's just like I've become more loose. Because the thing I've learned whenever I am playing like super tense and all that stuff is, unironically enough, compared to like what you see, because people see me like punt matches and throw matches all the time now, but when I'm actually like tense, I punt even more. Like I can punt. So I think where this started. So I used to have the nickname called the NFL punter or the NFL kicker, what people would call me, right? And the reason why is because I would live stream Arden Saga all the time. I'd go to Arden Saga events all the time, and I could be just smashing like top players in the world, not just like local. I'm talking about in the world, like either on stream or at an event, just not even close. And you're like, surely there's no way for him to lose this, right? And then 2 turns later, be like, how the did he just lose? It's because I'll do some like random crap. Like, let me put in like Magic context, right? All you have to do is not attack, right? It's because like your opponent has lethal. If they're able to attack with this creature, all you have to do is not attack because you know they're playing like a protection spell. If you try to kill it, but they can never get over your wall, and then eventually you can reach. Like you'll be able to like find your planeswalker, slam your planeswalker down, and then again can't answer it, and you just win. Or you mill them out, or there's some way you have inevitable and you can't lose. Well, I'd be like, all right, cool. So as long as I don't attack and I keep this creature untapped, they can't physically attack me, and I eventually just went through attrition. Okay, my turn. All right, cool. Anyways, attack. And like I would even actively know why I'm doing it, that this is not the correct play. But I just still do it anyway. And people would just like dude, it would make people upset, and people would be more upset than I would be upset, because I'd be like, ah, oh, dang, I threw that match. People would be like, I actually hate you, because like, people have never seen such a player as myself, who just has the ability to punch above their weight class so effortlessly. Let's put in Flesh and Blood context. I could just absolutely smash Michael Hampton, just be beating up on Michael Hampton for like 80% of the match. And nothing because of what he does, I would lose. He would have literally no way to win, like through traditional means if I play like even the average line, right? Like, let's say he plays Kano, and I will deterministically mill him out if I just keep swinging hammer. Like, there's no way I win. No way I lose. As long as I don't tap out. As long as I have one card in hand, he can't beat me. But I'll be like, let's just tap out for this attack and see what happens. And that's like their only possible window. They know it, I know it. But I just do it anyway. And then I lose. And a lot of that stemmed from me just thinking too much, being like really tense. And I would just lose. So I tried to loosen myself up by like just obviously like just talking more, being like more friendly with the opponent. Not that I was not friendly before. It was just, dude, I'm just in there memeing half the time. Like half of what I'm saying is just memes. And I found that like yeah, I do lose focus sometimes, but I do think that I am less tense. Because at the end of the day, if I'm tense and all that stuff and I lose, I'm going to take a loss way harder than, dude, I'm just sitting there saying like why duck ass like 14 times in a row in a match, and then my opponent wins. It's just like dude, good game, man, good game. Like obviously I need to find a middle ground because with everything I think you need to find a middle ground and just learn to be able to play cleaner but still be somewhat loose. I think finding that middle ground is going to be like what I search for. But yeah, there's no like reason I do it because like I think there's some people local to me that think I do it to distract people, and like whether it does or whether it doesn't, that is not my intention. I don't intend to distract people from like being able to do their plays. If it happens to do it and break up their thing, like good for me, I guess. But I do it more for myself and to be able to really keep myself loosey goosey through a match. If hopefully that makes sense. All right, Siphon. I have an honest question for you. This is gonna sound a little harsh. Do you think you should have top eighted something or even one event? You've been playing for nearly a year now with not a lot of success. We do have skirmish season coming up. I think, well, actually, skirmish season has already started. I think you're going to a few skirmishes, I think later this week or next week, and that could be your chance to break through. But what's up with the past is like, what's going on? Why do you think you haven't had success, or do you think you're gonna have success? Uh, oh, mm, top eight definitely, and I've been very close so many times. I'm not gonna say I'm a bubble king or like anything because I'm not, but definitely I've had top eights ripped from me, and they've usually felt bad because it always sucks like when you have the exact same record as someone that's in the top eight, and like maybe you played them or you were closer to the table the whole entire time. They're eighth, and then you end up like 20th, and you're like, huh? Or like they're eighth, and you're like ninth. Like I think ninth would be like it is like the most gut wrenching thing. It happens to me a lot. Like I think a lot of the events I've went to, especially over the last like 6 months, I will have like the exact same record as some of the top eights, and I don't get in, and it's just like, not that it doesn't make sense, not that it doesn't make sense. It's just so frustrating sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, it is frustrating, and people that say it's not frustrating are just lying, in my opinion. But when it comes to at least winning an event, I definitely think I've been hot enough at certain events to be able to win it. Like I think the last time I think I truthfully could have, I think I was at a point where I could have won an event, was a ProQuest hosted by the Realm Games this year. And it was one of the first times I played Control Dash at an event post um, post the New Year. I don't know why I was struggling to say New Year. And I was like, at this point, I was like, okay, I've literally played so many games at Dash. I know matchups in and out. Like a lot of people still don't really know what my deck does. Like I think I could breeze through any tournament that had favorable matchups. And I got that. I got favorable matchups. I was 3-0 at one point. Then I punted a guaranteed top 8 because 4-2 at that point, with when my losses were, would have guaranteed me top 8. I probably would have been like 7th or 8th seed, but I still would have gotten top 8. Because someone that like literally lost round 1, round 2, got like 10th. And I was like, my first loss here would have been round 4. If I was to have lost. And it was against the guy that eventually won the tournament. It was like I was against an Odom. He had a big life lead against me. I think he was like still in the high 30s. I was at like almost the low 20s or maybe the low 10s. But I finally get my pistol combo, and you just start seeing that life total just start evaporating, and my life total is still staying pretty healthy. It's because I was picking my spots to actually shoot pistols, right? And he was starting to like only be able to swing hammer or not swing at all. So like eventually that snowball happened to where like now I'm just time walking him, or he only throws minimal damage at me, where I can give him 1 card or maybe 0. And it's like it's that thing that I know like okay, I'm leaking damage every single turn. He's still giving me 1 or 2 cards a turn. The game is deterministically over. And we had plenty of time. But there was one crucial turn where I forgot to activate my plasma purifiers, and I already like shot my pistol, so I couldn't like actually hold on. Can I activate my purifier? I already took an action, and I'm not a person that asks for takebacks because I don't, because I wouldn't really want to give it to my opponent. So why would I ask for it myself? Does that make sense? I lost that match, won a massive tilt, then faced a Fi, got double Art Award, turn 1. Sorry, well his turn 1, because I went first. Then he had a Art Award Spreading Flames turn. And I was just like, okay, I guess I just lose. And then he had like 2 more busted turns after that. And I ended up stabilizing at like 10-ish. I know it's like a weird life total to stabilize that. But I actually started like grinding him down. And I thought maybe there was a world, since he used so much early, I could maybe fatigue him. And then somehow, some way, he double Spreading Flames me. And I'm just like... And then I just got time walked the whole entire game until I just died. There was like a really stupid chain where he like snatch, go again, soaring strike, banish a snatch, go again. And like he just did a bunch of dumb stuff, and I was just like, I don't know what I meant to do here. So I'm 4-2, sorry, 3-2 going into the last round, and I'm on camera versus Travis McDaniel, Ice Center versus Dasher. I'm like, favorable matchup, here we go. But at the time, I wasn't sideboarding correctly, even though like I still thought the match was favorable, and my opponent agreed. I still had too many reds in my deck that didn't do anything, which now that problem has been fixed. And that was the tournament that made me change my outlook on how I sideboarded against Wizard. I got him very low. I had Exodia online. His life total was just evaporating. But there was too many turns early in the game where like I had like a red, couldn't properly AB everything, and I was just taking small chip damage. And it just sucks because I was like, cool, if I win that match, not only do I win on camera, I win against someone I've never beat before. That guy has like plot armor against my whole entire shop. No one from my shop has ever beat him in a game. It's just, it's freaking weird. And I would have top 8'd there. And it just breaks my heart. It's just like, it's just another tournament where everything was just, the ball was alley-oop to me. All I had to do was dunk it or even lay it up. And I didn't. And it breaks my heart, man. Breaks my heart that like, and it was one of the reasons why secretly like I almost wanted to stop doing YouTube for a while, because I was thinking, okay, I have no actual accomplishments. Why would anybody want to listen to me over like someone else? I ended up talking to some people and they got that thought out of my head, and which is why I still make content to this day. But to almost have played for a year, and I feel like I don't think I've peaked because I definitely don't think I've peaked, but I think my peak meta so far was when I played again. I played Control Dash into Oldhim Iyslander, like peak Oldhim Iyslander meta during that season. I think if I actually played Control Dash during the RTN season, I would have easily top 8'd or won. Because like those were popular decks, but like, dude, they would not have had a chance. Because once like Jacob Ball got top 4, and then like soon afterward I started actually checking events, people started to kind of figure out the deck. And then obviously like 5 became super prevalent. I was just like, dude, I had my opportunity to top 8 or win an event, and I kind of just threw it away. And then I threw it away again during the PQ season because I was actually able to dodge the 5s because they were losing to the Oldhims and Icelanders, and I was picking off the Oldhims and the Icelanders. It was really a perfect storm. And obviously I won't have those times back, but I'm just hoping down the road when I get my chance again, I won't ruin it. Alright. I know I hit you with a hard-hitting question just now, and I appreciate you answering. Let's give you a more lighthearted one. When you get in a chair, when you're getting an actual chair, you've been literally using that bed as a chair for like what, a year plus now, dude. Get a freaking chair, dude. Do you want me to fund you a chair? Do I need to fund you a chair, dude? When are you gonna get one? Come on. All right, listen. You leave my bed out of this, man. So for the longest time, I actually was just like, I don't have a chair because I just at the time couldn't really afford one with how things were lining up. But now that I can afford one, I still haven't bought one. I just realized like I just love the fact that I can sit here. Now, obviously, the back support is not great, but I can sit here, play my games, and like between games or if not, I can do. I'm already here. I can just lay my head down. It's kind of great. Like, does it kind of get like meh, like bleh? The fact that I'm like always here. I'm either sitting or laying here, like pretty much 24/7. If I'm not at work, yeah, it kind of does feel weird. But dude, leave my chair out of this. Leave my chair, because this is my chair. Leave my chair out of this, man. Alright, so that's going to be the final question of this interview. First of all, Siphon, thank you for being an excellent first guest. I think this went absolutely amazing, even though you don't have a chair. But talk to the people. Is there anything else I need to know? Any shout outs you want to give? Talk to me. Well, actually, talk to them. Well, first of all, I do want to thank you for being a good host and asking all those questions, even though one of them, like, you leave my chair out of this, man. You leave my chair out of this. But first of all, I want to say to the fans, thank you guys for watching all the content. I'm going to do my best to continue push forward and give you guys my absolute best. As far as like maybe sponsors, people always want to shout out the sponsors. A lot of people don't know. I don't know if I've already put up a video about this, but I have become a writer for Fabric. That's really cool. I don't know if you guys will be able to see any of the articles I post here, like in any kind of form. I know some people have been asking about a Patreon. Maybe I do something like that where I put like part of the article on Patreon, or like, I don't know. I would like you guys to see my written content. I just don't know how you guys do that without actually just going to Fabric. But you guys should go to Fabric anyway. It's a good site. But shout out to Total Game Experience in Chillicothe, Ohio. It's where I got my start in Flesh and Blood. It's where I go to this day. Shout out to all the boys there, as much as I hate most of you, with a like fiery passion. Obviously, getting the games I do every single week is more valuable than not, and I've had some good times, especially when we've hit the road, man. It's just, oh, how is Control Dash a toxic deck? Like, can we actually talk about this for a second? How is Control Dash a toxic? How are you complaining about a deck that plays Healing Bomb? You know what Healing Bomb? Healing Bomb's a red card without going in that says target hero gains 3, and it only blocks for 2. Do you realize how that card is? You realize how that card is? And before you say, well, you play a bunch of pull up my latest Control Dash list. You count the D-Reacts in there. At one point, I was playing like 16. Dude, I don't even know if I played 10. Wait, hold on. I play Sink Below, Fate Foreseen, Unmovable. Wait, am I only playing 9? I'm only playing 9 D-Reacts now. Dude, there's so many decks that play 9 D-Reacts. What the Dude, Oh, you mad that everything blocks through, except of course I don't block at all, but we won't talk about that. Dude, dude, you know what? I love all you guys. I love all you guys at Total Game Experience. But nah, man, like, I'm just keep riding with me, y'all. Just keep riding with me. When I finally, hit that breakthrough and I can finally show you guys that top 8 video or that winning an event video, that's when you guys will know that, like, it's on. Because right now it's not really on, but, like, dude, don't y'all let me win a tournament. Don't y'all let me win a tournament, especially like Bolton or Kano. Don't you let me do it. It's gonna be GG's for everyone. Or whenever we get this new illusions in the summer, like, hey, you might get a little rough for y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you, it might get a little rough. But I'm gonna get out here, guys. I'm gonna leave you guys with Siphon to talk about whatever he talks about. Thank you guys for having me. And we thank Siphon for coming. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys make sure you guys like, favorite, subscribe, comment down below. If you guys want to see nice feedback, is always also appreciated. There's more Siphon from Siphon CCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!